My final live action film was created using a wide range of skills. These skills included filming, 3D camera projection, grayboxing, 3D modeling, 3D animation, texturing, lighting, rendering, advanced compositing using render passes, visual effects, and sound design. The intent of this video is to showcase and explain the steps I took in creating one of my scenes, which is the basic flow for the whole film with slight changes depending on the scene itself. The scene that I've chosen to showcase the production pipeline is the dogfight scene.
First stage of production was filming. The majority of the footage was shot at the beginning of the year, with certain clips needing to be redone due to issues with lighting, framing, and so on. I used a dog treat in order to film a shot where my dog lunges at the character, allowing it to feel more realistic, grounding the CGI elements into what feels like a real life event. This treat that I used was then masked out using Premiere Pro to allow the footage to look clean and smooth when finally composited. Camera projection involves aligning the camera in 3D space to have the same attributes as the camera used in real life. This included focal length and positioning. To do this, the grid is lined up with a flat surface in the shot. Once the surface is lined up, basic grey meshes can be made that cover the areas that will either have shadows cast to them or involve 3D objects interacting with them. So these basic grey meshes become holdout planes in the texturing phase. The animation phase is one of the longest in the pipeline. It consists of using keyframes to set values of X, Y, and Z using the character's rig. Australia's standard frames per second is 24, meaning 24 keyframes is equivalent to 1 second in real time. For this scene, I used reference material from Mixamo in order to achieve the highest quality animation I could with my current skill set. Texturing involves applying 2D images onto 3D characters in order to give them color and depth. This character has been UV wrapped and uses a seamless wood texture to achieve his final design. Minimal bump mapping was used, and bump mapping is when you apply a black and white image to a character, which gives it depth and extrusion. So while texturing, textures with no color values are applied to the previously made meshes, which then have holdouts applied to them. Values are set to match the real-life versions of these holdout meshes, allowing shadows to appear as realistic as possible. A holdout is essentially an object that is invisible in rendering, but still catches shadow, dust particles, and so on. A majority of my scenes contain at least 3 sources of light. A dome light is first used to generate a well-lit area for the character. Values are adjusted, and depending on the scene, a few different types of lights are added. For this scene, the 2 other types of lights were a distant light and a rectangle light. The distant light replicates the type of light from a light source far away, often used to simulate the sun. Meanwhile, rectangle lights are used for light sources such as light bulbs or lamps. However, it was used in this scene purely to allow for more natural looking shadows under and around the character's arms. Before rendering can begin, the render passes or AOVs must be set up. These passes then come together to form the final shot when compositing. Once these passes have been set up, the backplate is turned off, the render settings are changed, and a batch render is begun. Each scene took a different amount of time to render depending on the amount of vertices in each scene, but this scene took about 5 hours on my home computer. All render passes are inputted into Nuke, where the use of multiple different nodes allow for a final composite. For this scene, I made use of merge nodes, blur nodes, grade nodes, copy nodes, and Z depth nodes. These allow me to combine all of the AOVs together and slightly adjust them individually, which gives me much more control over the final look. In the visual effects and sound design phase, I basically compile all my shots together, making slight adjustments. I would ramp speeds of clips for a more realistic look, and then position them within the final sequence. I also recorded a fair amount of the audio myself that I used in the final film, whilst also downloading some royalty-free ones online. Either way, the sounds were edited and added to the final film.